The story goes as follows. The scene opens up with Jasmine's typical morning. She wakes up before her alarm every morning to make breakfast and packs lunch for her father, Eric. As Jasmine gets ready for school, she sings a lullaby that her mother always used to sing to her. Hush now, child, don't be scared or cry. Mommy is never gonna say goodbye. As I hold you to sleep, always remember that my heart is yours to keep. I love you still, I love you always, no matter where you are, my love will always fulfill. So don't cry, don't lag, always remember, Mommy will always watch your back. Aubrey passed away when Jasmine was 10, and all that is left of her is her bracelet. Jasmine will always wear the bracelet as a reminder that her mom will always be looking after her. The scene ends with Jasmine riding a skateboard to school, transitioning to Henry's morning. He lives in a group home with his biological sister, Chelsea, and 4 other foster children. Henry's parents left, so he was raised by his older sister his whole life. His mornings are always chaotic, fighting to get the last piece of bread after breakfast, waiting for the only bathroom in the house, and rushing to be on time for school every day. As Henry kisses his sister's forehead, he rushes out the door with bread hanging from his mouth. High school students Jasmine Lamb and Henry Vaughn are the main characters in our story. They come from totally different backgrounds, from the way they talk to the way they love. They strongly contrast each other, yet they complement one another. Our supporting characters include Eric Lamb, Jasmine's father, Aubrey Lamb, Jasmine's mother, and Chelsea Vaughn, Henry's older sister. The narration for the story will alternate between Jasmine and Henry's point of view. My name is Sharon Chan in ASAM 320. This is my Culture Night proposal. The theme for my Culture Night will be love. Love is kind, love is passionate, but most importantly, love comes in all different shapes and forms. My Culture Night will intertwine with modern and traditional styles. Stories will be told from original songs incorporating traditional dances. Variations of love will be conveyed through the modern language. In this Culture Night, it will be based off the disunion of the 3 kingdoms, Wei, Shu, and Wu. From 220 to 280 AD, cultures such as China, Vietnam, Korea, and Japan were hugely euphemized in the 3 kingdoms. Both scenes collide together. Henry running from one side of the stage and Jasmine on her skateboard from the opposite side. They run into each other and Chelsea falls to the ground while her bracelet slipping off her wrist. Henry goes to help her and tries to apologize, but Jasmine pays no attention and takes her skateboard and runs off. Henry sees her bracelet on the ground and attempts to chase after her, but it was already too late. Transitioning back to Jasmine's house. As she is making dinner for her father, she realizes her mother's bracelet is missing from her wrist. She begins to panic, flipping the house upside down in search of it. Several hours after looking, she collapses to the ground and starts to cry. Not long after, she remembers her accident with Henry and came to the assumption that Henry had stolen it. She then goes to her father and tells him about the incident and how she believes that Henry stole the bracelet. Eric knows how important the bracelet is to Jasmine, so he reassures her that they will get it back. The next morning, Jasmine rushes out to the spot where she bumped into Henry. She waits and waits, but Henry never shows up. She ends up arriving to class extremely late and has to serve detention. As she walks through the detention classroom, she starts singing her mother's lullaby again, and a traditional dance is also added. She enters from the back of the classroom and sits in the nearest open seat she sees. Several minutes later, Jasmine begins to feel kicking behind her chair. She ignores it, hoping the person behind her would stop. Yet the person still continued to kick her chair, and Jasmine became very agitated. She turns around, and by surprise, it was Henry. She opens her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Henry continued to idly stare at her when he, too, also realized that Jasmine's face looked familiar. Jasmine then begins to remember what Henry took from her and starts to accuse him for stealing her bracelet. As she is rambling to Henry, he reaches into his pocket and takes out Jasmine's bracelet. Jasmine stops talking and grabs her bracelet from his hand. She doesn't say anything and turns back around. A few moments later, the teacher dismisses detention and Jasmine packs her stuff to go home. Henry tries to get Jasmine's attention as they are leaving the classroom, but she was already at the door. Many days passed before Jasmine and Henry were to run into each other again. During that time, Jasmine told her father what had happened at detention, yet she felt oddly bad. She remembered what her mother had taught her and decided that it was better to make amends with Henry. As Henry was walking back from school, Jasmine had already waited in the usual spot. Henry sees her but doesn't say anything. Jasmine begins to explain herself and the value of the bracelet. She does not mention her mother, thinking that Henry would not understand. After Jasmine was done, Henry began to explain himself and how he also tried to look for her after returning the bracelet. Not long after, they started to become friends. As the two of them became closer, they started to share intimate details about each other that they would never share with their family. Jasmine confided in Henry about everything except her mother. She still wasn't sure if he was to be trusted. Nonetheless, Henry allowed himself to share his past with Jasmine. As they became closer, Henry starts to fall for Jasmine. However, he has not experienced love. Because of his past, he has never wanted to attach himself to anyone or anything. Days go on as Henry stays silent about how he feels for Jasmine. Even in fleeting moments, he tends to think about Jasmine. He can no longer continue to hold it in and told Chelsea about it. Chelsea shares her experience and invites Henry to follow his heart. After consulting with Chelsea, Henry has decided it was time for him to confess his feelings for Jasmine. He wanted it to make it special and memorable for the both of them. So he went out to buy her favorite flowers and even wrote her an original song for her. He planned to do it at prom. During prom, Henry was ready to confess his love for Jasmine until he saw that Jasmine had a date. He began to doubt himself and deny his feelings for Jasmine were fake. He was furious and gave Jasmine the cold shoulder the rest of the night. Jasmine was confused when Henry acted that way and ran outside to cry. Henry was upset, yet he felt bad, so he followed her outside. He comes to see Jasmine humming Aubrey's lullaby and sits next to her. He asks her what is wrong, but Jasmine holds back. It takes her a while before Jasmine were to speak, and by then Henry decided to sing his song that he wrote for her. This is the original song. Jasmine, you are so fair, your love for everything cannot be compared. It worries me that I may never be enough, but I'm not here to bluff. My love is true, and if you give me the chance, I promise to always make you laugh and dance. As I speak my words with passion, I hope I can end in a fashion. I hope that you have a napkin, for what I'm going to say will come with a passion. I wanted to tell you that I love you, Jasmine. She realizes that the song was written for her. When the song ended, Henry pulled out flowers and told Jasmine how he felt. Not knowing whether she felt the same way, he was willing to take the risk. Without saying anything, Jasmine gives Henry a big hug and pulls him in as she whispers, I love you to him. This is the end of my cultural night story. Thank you.